everybody. Welcome back to the SL24 podcast. I'm your new host, Elena, and today we're here with Hailey Midgal. So, Hailey, who are you, and what led you to be a part of the SL24 and Sean's House community?
Okay. Hi, I'm Hailey. I'm a senior at the University of Delaware, so I'm an interpersonal communication major and a disability study and psychology double minor. And so I started being part of the Sean's House community by acknowledging that there were no grief resources for students at UD. I lost my dad, and I have been part of a few different grief resources in the past, like a overnight grief retreat. I've gone to a few different support groups. So when I came to college and I realized that they didn't have that resource, I was like, I'm gonna make it. So I created Healing Hearts, which is a grief support group through Sean's House, and it's open to UD students and members of the community. Um, and yeah, that's how I started to know what Sean's House was. And then from there, I just love the environment. Everyone is so nice, and it's just such a comfortable environment. So I decided to apply to be a peer support specialist, and I got that volunteer position, and I love that too. So I'm very happy to be, you know, involved in something so special.
Yeah, that's great. And so obviously you just started talking about how you run the Healing Hearts support group here at University
Mhm.
of Delaware. So can you share how that started and what it really means to you?
Yeah, so it was very difficult to start. Um, I got the idea my sophomore year of college, um, when I realized that they didn't have a support group. So I had to speak to so many different people to get this going. And it took, I, I would say I was working on it for months. And then the beginning of my junior year, wait, I might have started this my freshman year, and then it became a thing the beginning of my sophomore year. I kind of forget. But
It was a
sorry.
long time ago.
It was a long time ago. But anyways, it finally got started. I remember after my first session, I was very nervous. I wasn't sure if I was gonna do it right. And at the end of the session, there were about 8 people here maybe, and we all did a pulse check. So we went around the room and we all just said one word to describe how we felt. And there was one girl who shared, and she just had a really hard life. Like, it just, yeah. And she said that she felt lighter, and that meant a lot to me because I was
Yeah.
like, wow, like here's this girl who has struggled so much, and she feels lighter from
Yeah.
something that I did. So I think that's what it means to me. It's just
Yeah.
a place for people to come in, and you're allowed to cry, and you can come in like your rawest form and just feel connected to people who understand it, because I think it could be really isolating in college, especially
Yeah.
since typically you're not around people who have known your loved one who passed away, and people don't know your story. And to be around other people who understand how that feels and understand grief, I think is really special.
Yeah, definitely. And grief's obviously all way everywhere around, and it
Mhm.
looks different for everybody.
Yes.
So for you, what has been a lock in your life, something that has shaped your growth or healing journey?
I think the support that I had when I lost my dad, I just have the best friends ever. I had my one friend who was there with me through the whole thing. My dad died in an accident, so he was in the hospital. Um, and she came to the hospital with me every day, and we went to school together, and I would just go to all of her classes instead of my own. And just like having great people to lean on helps so much. So again, when I went to college and people never knew my dad
Yeah.
and never knew me, I lost my dad when I was 12. So, people never knew me when I went through that super hard thing. that was really difficult for me. So, again, that's why I thought it'd be nice to create something where people understand how hard that is.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, you have your own grief journey,
Mm-hmm.
but what misconceptions do people often have about grief or the grieving process, do you think?
I think that people don't understand that it never goes away. Like, you're always going to be thinking about your loved one. And so there's a concept of primary grief or primary loss and secondary loss. So for me, my primary loss was losing my dad, but there's so many secondary losses. Like, he never got to see me graduate middle school, high school. He's not going to see me graduate college. Like, he's not going to be able to walk me down the aisle at my wedding. There's so many other losses that come along with grief, and watching your loved ones also grieve the person who passed and growing up way too fast. So I think people don't understand that, once the loss is over, it's not over.
Yes.
Because there's so many losses that follow it. And, um, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
And these losses that you talked about through your grieving process, have you taught other people about these types of losses? And honestly, like, what made you want to help others going through similar situations that you went through?
Yeah. Um, I think what made me want to go through what made me want to help other people who have gone through similar situations. I remember when my dad died, I had a span of like 4 years where it was just like bad after bad after bad. So I lost my dad, I lost all of my grandparents, I almost lost my mom to her health declining. My best friend moved away. It was just bad after bad. And I remember I also had a concussion at the time, and I was in the parking lot um, for the doctor for my concussion. And I remember seeing on Instagram that my friend was on vacation, and I was like, I need a break so badly, and there's just no break in sight. Like, and there's these things that people in their 50s have never even experienced, and it's just one after the other, and it was so difficult. And then I finally did catch my break where I started to regain trust that things can be stable, and my life became a lot more stable. And, I feel really great that I am able to feel that way. But I know for people whose losses were more recent, they are probably in that stage of like, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I need a break so bad, and like, life just won't give me one. So, understanding how that feels made me want to help other people, because it's hard to realize that there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Um, and if I didn't have the support that I had, I don't know if I would be, who I am today. And so I want to be able to give other people the support that I had, and have them see that I survived and they're going to survive as well, and, just help them through anything that they're struggling with.
Yeah. And what are some things people can expect if they attend a Healing Hearts support group here at UD?
It's basically just a space to talk. Like, you can really say anything that you want, and everyone's going to agree and understand. So typically, if we say something that we agree with, we kind of just like snap to be like, yep, been there. And so, usually, if someone new joins, we all go around, we share our stories, we share who we lost. If you want to, you can share how they died. And then we can go around and ask the person questions if they feel okay with it. So, what was your favorite memory with this person? We want to remember who they were and also feel the pain that they're not there anymore. Um, and yeah, so it's basically just a place to talk about your loss, talk about the person who died, hear other people who say things and you're like, been there. Um, and yeah, it's really, and every session can be different. I've had times where like people from the community will come in and their loss is different than, a bunch of college students
Hmm.
sitting around. So sometimes it's a little more catered to one person's experience. It really depends. But honestly, we all just are there for each other, and just it's nice to listen even if you don't want to share,
Hmm.
because people are going to say things that validate the way that you feel and the things you've gone through.
Yeah. And obviously, you support and hear other people's stories. So, after being heard and supported here at Sean's house, what inspired you to become a peer yourself?
I think just the environment here. It's, so comforting, and I see how many people benefit from it, and I just wanted to be a part of it in an even greater way than I was already a part of it. So, I want to be a social worker, so I'm getting my master's in social work at the end of this year, starting in the fall. Um, so I thought it'd be great to just get experience, supporting people in a different way. And, I've struggled with things other than just grief. I've struggled with extreme debilitating anxiety at times. So I wanted to be able to expand my horizons of support past grief and be able to help people in any way that they need. So it's been a really great experience. And, going through the training to become a peer support specialist was so interesting and special to me, because it's all the things that I'm interested in, and learning how to properly support people. And so I'm just really grateful for this experience. And when I came to the University of Delaware, I didn't even know about Sean's house. So this is just like an added bonus that has just been such a big part of my college career that I didn't even know I was going to get. So it's very special, and I'm very grateful that Sean's house exists.
Yes, and obviously everyone has their own healing journeys, and you pride yourself on taking care of others.
Hmm.
But how do you take care of your own mental health while helping others with theirs?
I think it could be hard to um, be able to care for yourself. For me, honestly, I find it easier to give support to others than to give support to myself at sometimes. But I think that honestly, for me, I, you know, it took time for me to get to the place where I was, and I wasn't at a place to support people. But, I've been experiencing anxiety since third grade, and I've been experiencing loss in seventh grade. So by the time I went to college, I felt like I was a lot more grounded and stable and ready to support other people. Um, but I definitely wasn't always like that. So I've gone to therapy since eighth grade. I've learned a lot of coping mechanisms for anxiety and for loss. And I said before, I've done like support um, programs.
Mhm.
So shout out to Comfort Zone Camp. Comfort Zone Camp is a weekend long retreat that's free and open to anyone for adolescents who have lost a loved one. And that was incredible for me. And that was like the first support group that I really joined. And we call it the bubble, which is being in the space where everyone gets it. And it's so special to be in the bubble. So, creating Healing Hearts was kind of like creating our own little bubble at
Yeah.
college. And yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And honestly, I know you talked a little bit about coping mechanisms, and something that I always use for my coping mechanism is listening to music.
Hmm.
So, if your healing journey had a soundtrack, what would one of the songs be?
Hmm. It's a hard one. Okay, I think it would be the song. What's it called? This Girl Is on Fire. So it's by what, Alicia Keys, I
Yeah.
think. So that was my bat mitzvah montage song that my dad made for me. Um, and I've received a bunch of different signs from my dad, And I remember when my sister got into UPenn, which is where my dad went for dental school, she received this like crazy extravagant sign. And so when I got into the University of Delaware, I was like, yo, like I didn't get a sign. Like what's up with that? And my mom drove me to school after I was thinking that, and for some reason her phone was like hooked up to the car audio, which had like that doesn't happen. Like go onto the when you go into the car, it's always like the radio, and we like have to plug the phone
Yeah.
in for it to connect. And it was playing the "This Girl's on Fire," and it was the version of the song that was from my bat mitzvah montage, um, which was a slower version of the song. So I think that song, you know, connects me to my dad, and B, I think that really explains my grief journey and just my journey with mental health, because I feel like I've really taken my pain and my loss and turned it into something special and help other people with their pain and loss.
Yeah.
So you could say I'm on fire or whatever.
You mentioned that you struggle a little bit with anxiety in addition to grief. Can you tell me a little bit about your journey with anxiety?
Yeah, so I have had bad anxiety since third grade. I remember my first panic attack was in third grade at the mall. Um, and I've struggled with a lot of irrational anxiety. I remember in fourth grade, I would be up crying every night that I was too skinny, so I was gonna die of starvation in my sleep. So it's definitely been a struggle, and that was before anything really bad even happened in my life. So anxiety was always just something that was in my head. And then, when I experienced bad news after bad news after bad news, I think my anxiety got even more intense because I understood that nothing nothing in life at the time I thought that nothing in life was stable, and I understood like that my anxieties might not be irrational because my dad was killed suddenly, and I just realized anything can happen. So my anxiety definitely became debilitating for some time, where I didn't want to do the things that I typically enjoyed doing. My mom also had bad health issues, and she was honestly on her deathbed as well. So I think that a lot of my anxiety was me creating physical symptoms. So I felt like I couldn't like walk far, or like I would like black out because I just like thought I wasn't healthy enough to walk far, and I got a lot of medical tests and there was nothing wrong with me. Um and so, I never wanted to like go to the mall with my friends because I didn't feel like I could walk through the mall. Um so it was definitely hard to, be dealing with all this grief and then also no longer feel safe doing the things that I enjoyed. Um, and so the way that I dealt with anxiety, I started going to therapy. One trick that she taught me that I still do today is like finger taps. So like saying like I am okay, or like whatever you want to hear at the time. Like, if I'm about to take an exam, it could be like I am prepared, something like that. So that's something I've shared with a lot of people who are struggling with anxiety, because that's just something that helped me personally. And I think honestly, just working through my, understanding my past and understanding where my anxiety stems from has helped a lot. Also, shout out Zoloft. That has also helped a lot. And that was something that I didn't start, choosing medication to help my anxiety until last year, actually, because my mom was very against it because she had a bad experience with anxiety medication. And I remember just laying in bed one night and my heart was like palpitating for no reason. And I remember I woke up that morning and I was just like, I'm done. Like, Mom, like, I'm going on meds. And it was great. So that has also helped a lot. And now I feel like I can just like do the things that bring me joy and not have constant fear in my head. So that's lovely.
And honestly, we talked about a lot of difficult things today, but the last thing I have to ask you is what advice would you give to someone who's struggling silently?
um, I would say A, you don't have to struggle silently. I think that there's so many people who put on an act, but everyone is struggling with something. Everyone. So, sharing your struggles can help other people feel comfortable to open up and share their struggles as well, and that could form a connection. And also, obviously, Sean's House is a resource where, if you want to just talk to somebody, you don't have to struggle alone. And as someone who really thought that they would never catch a break, you know, there are happy moments in life, and those are just the moments that you have to live for. And I would also say finding the small joy in every day is um is great. And I'm pretty sure I learned that our brains like are programmed to find the bad for like evolutionary reasons, like for survival. And so I try to reprogram my brain to find good in everything. So, pointing out little moments of gratitude, whether that's I had a really good bagel or there's a really crunchy leaf on the ground and I just stepped on it and that was so satisfying. Just little moments of joy and gratitude within your day can kind of just help you realize that there are good things and
Yeah.
things to be happy about, even if everything is falling apart around you. Of
Hailey, thank you so much for being here and being vulnerable. And
course.
thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.